Hello, everyone. Welcome back. And this week we have some amazing new indie games coming to you from the man, the myth, the legend, the indie god himself, Mike Zoke, who is here today to give us his thoughts on some of the games that are coming out this week. And now, Mike, this is a big week for indie games. I say big in the sense that there's one game I'm really anticipating. And then in the list that you sent, there's also another game that I was pleasantly surprised by. And I just want to give it a big hug, but we'll get onto that later. So we'll start with the big one that everyone has known about. Unless you're living under a rock, it's hard to miss this piece, PlayStation exclusive, and also on PC as well, I suppose. Stray. For those of you them who are uneducated in the audience, let them know how great this looks.
So Stray is the newest title being published by Annapurna Interactive. I love their name. It fits the game very perfect. Annapurna, perfect. It's launching for, like you said, PlayStation and PC, but it's also launching day one on the extra and premium tiers of PS Plus. So if you happen to be a subscriber to either of those tiers, you can play it day one without having to spend a dime, which is pretty nice. It's only the second game that PlayStation has secured as a day one title for their subscription services. So pretty big news there. But yeah, it's a feline adventure game where you're exploring a neon, vibrant cyber city as a cat who has been basically abandoned or separated from its family. And as you try to escape this giant, intimidating city, you happen upon a crazy mystery that you have to solve in order to escape. It sounds very cool to me. I really love weird games. So a game where you are literally just a cat, and I don't mean a cat as in like Animal Crossing, where you are a little two-legged humanoid cat. No, you are literally a four-legged cat. You can purr and meow and everything. There's a trophy for meowing 100 times. There's a trophy for, I think, just napping for an hour straight. It's great. This is Cat Simulator 101, but in a gorgeous, vibrant city with all kinds of puzzles and adventures for you to experience. It's definitely one of the biggest titles on this list this week, and it comes out July 19th, so you don't have much longer to wait for it either.
So again, as we mentioned, coming out on PC, PlayStation 5, and then also on PS Plus, the premium tier as well. It looks absolutely fantastic. I can't wait. The main question is, can you pet the cat in Stray? That will soon be found out. I don't know how they're going to make that work.
You can give yourself a bath. So do you consider licking yourself, the tongue, do you consider that a pet?
That's a bit more gross than just having a little pet, Mike.
It's a step too far. It's past first base.
Yes, 100%. Moving on to the next game, also comes out on July 19th, is definitely a departure from Stray. What initially drew me to this. Also, I suppose, another service-based day one launch title.
It's why I put them right next to each other.
So, as Dusk Falls, I mean, everyone will have probably seen this game and maybe have forgotten it, but the art style is what sticks out the most.
It does. It has a very unique watercolor-esque stop motion art style. And it has a really interesting premise too. So As Dusk Falls is launching day one on Game Pass for Xbox, PC, and cloud. But it's an interactive drama. So it's not quite a visual novel, not quite a point-and-click adventure. It's kind of its own little thing, they're saying. Kind of similar to the Mothman 1966 from last week, which was a pixel pulp and not just a straight visual novel or point-and-click adventure. But As Dusk Falls is basically exploring the tangled lives of two families set over multiple decades. I think it's like 30 years you're going through. And you have a web that shows you all of the different points where the story can diverge based off of your choices. And the game is multiplayer. So it's not just a single player game. This is a multiplayer experience as an interactive drama, which is just very unique. It's definitely one that I'm going to be checking out just because I haven't really seen anything like this before, rather than a genuine interest in what the game is offering. Not that it's not interesting, just I'm more invested in the fact that it's like, whoa, I can experience something this narratively heavy with another human being, since there's essentially no gameplay. It's just decision making and story and all that stuff. But yeah, looks amazing, looks great. I'm a sucker for the subscription services. Anybody who knows me knows that. So definitely will be playing day one on Game Pass.
Hmm. And when it comes to multiplayer on this, is it kind of a similar to the Dark Pictures anthology stuff in that sense, or what do you know
I
about it?
think it's going to be similar to that. I think the difference is that um, at least I don't have a whole lot of experience with the Dark Pictures anthology, but I
Mhm.
know that they're at least like an actual 3D game where there's walking around and stuff like this. This is just a 2D stop motion experience. So it's basically like I would say it's more akin to if anybody has done any of the interactive shows on
Mm,
Netflix, like the interactive Black Mirror where the story unfolds in front of you and you kind of decide the direction that it takes.
mhm.
That's kind of more of the direction that I've gotten from As Dusk Falls thus far.
Hmm. Well, definitely sounds interesting, and I think it's one of those perfect games for Game Pass because you won't
It
really know
is.
if it's really your thing until you try it, and that's a brilliant
Exactly.
thing about it that you can just pick it up on day one as well. That's coming out on consoles, I suppose Xbox, obviously, Game Pass, PC, and on XCloud as well on July 19th. Now, the next one, again, complete deviation. I mean, I might stop saying a complete deviation because we'll take that for granted at this stage.
There
Fallen
is not
Angel.
two games like one another on this list.
No, and that's the brilliance about it. There's something here for everyone. Um, Fallen Angel. Talk to me a little bit about this 2D
So,
action RPG.
yes, so this is honestly one of my most anticipated games on this list. So, Fallen Angel takes place in the biblical Apocrypha. You are Lucifer. You are battling your way through the kingdoms of heaven. The bosses are the archangels. And it's a fast-paced, strategic-based action RPG with some gorgeous visuals. I believe it's technically already out on PC, but it's getting its console release on July 19th. And I don't know. I just looking at it, it was the kind of game that may not look that special at first because there's a lot of these 2D action-based RPG games out there. But when I was reading into the story, and it's like, yeah, you are Lucifer and you are going to kill heaven. And I was like, sold immediately, on board. Let's go. You're going to use words like apocrypha with me? Done. Done. Don't done. So, yeah. Any fans of 2D action based side scrollers or action games, stuff like that, it's kind of akin to like Death's Door,
Mhm,
Tunic, and that top down RPG type style, but with more of a pixel based art style than a poly style. But it looks great. Like I'm really excited for it. I almost went ahead and just bought it on PC so I could start playing it now instead of waiting for the console release. But I'm a console gamer first, so I've decided to hold off.
mhm. Well, sounds extremely interesting. Nice to flip the role reversal of going into heaven instead of hell for once. Um, Good thing this didn't come out in the 90s because I could imagine some protests, but who knows? Maybe
Oh,
there will be.
there probably still will be.
Um, Again, 19th of July, the next one. We've all heard of dog fighting games, but never have we seen, or at least to my knowledge, a dragon fighting game. This looks insane. Century Age of
Yes.
Ashes. Tell me about it.
So Century Age of Ashes is another game that is technically already out on PC. I think just today it launched on Xbox consoles, but then on 19th it's releasing on PlayStation. They really did a weird thing with the release schedule. It was hard for me to follow. But it is a free-to-play multiplayer action game where you ride dragons. There is an array of classes and abilities that you can upgrade, and then you basically go out, bring down your foes on the back of your dragon buddy, and kick butt and take names as a fierce dragon rider.
Mhm.
I don't know, with all of these free-to-play games that are constantly coming out, there's very few that catch my attention. This is one that caught my attention right off the bat.
100%. I mean, it has a beautiful looking sort of set of graphics in it as well. And
Yep.
I mean, I watched the trailer for describing the different classes. There's different game modes. Honestly, being free to play, I mean, you might as well pick it up and give it a go.
Might as well, yeah. It's gonna be like I said. It's already out on Xbox. It's already out on PC. It's launching on PlayStation later this or late early next week. It's worth a look. It's
Mhm.
free to play. It's not gonna hurt you. But it looks great.
Yeah. Next one. Now, this is a completely cozy game. I like the look of this
This is
already.
I love
Hazel Sky. I'm gonna let you take this one away because I just can't even begin to describe the trailer I saw.
Yeah, so the trailer is a goosebumps type of thrill ride for you. But basically, you are playing as a young engineer and just a little bit of a heartfelt adventure game where you're exploring your world, fixing the airships that come through using your engineering abilities, and really just like kind of finding yourself. Like it's kind of hard to describe
Mhm.
without actually like showing the trailer or anything, but it feels like a self-identify type of game where you are playing this character as they kind of try to realize who they are in this world that is much larger than they are, but they aren't necessarily intimidated by it. Like they welcome not knowing who they are and the opportunity to explore and discover themselves. And I mean, it just has a gorgeous art style, amazing soundtrack so far. If you are a fan of cozy games, this is a must play in my opinion. Check out Hazel Sky.
Mhm. Definitely be giving that a look. That comes out on July 20th. Now, the next one I have a little bit of experience with, Bright Memory Infinite. I remember playing, I believe they had a small, it was like a €6-ish game, Bright Memory on the Xbox
It's
Store
just
at
a
one
few.
point.
I think the original version came out in 2019. It
Hmm.
was just Bright Memory. It was just the first chapter of the game. It was supposed to become a full game, but then they kind of just used it as a teaser for this. So
Hmm.
this is the full release of the entire game, and the game's made by one guy.
Hmm.
So I don't know if you knew that when you were playing that little bit of it and the
Yeah.
insane graphics and the insane gameplay. That's made by one dude.
Hmm.
One guy made this entire game. And I've also played Bright Memory. I played it on Xbox. I have all the achievements for it. It's an amazing time, even though it's only like an hour long.
Hmm.
So I'm really excited for Bright Memory Infinite, which is a hack and slash meets bullet hell first person shooter. Just mash up. It pays all kinds of omens to other series too, like has the campfires from Dark Souls. There's some nods to Devil May Cry in it. It's basically like a love letter to this action RPG genre of the hack and slash style games. And the story premise, at least in the first chapter bit, wasn't that heavy. But after looking into it more, it does sound pretty neat. You're basically part of the supernatural science research organization. And your job is to investigate and bring down all of these paranormal activities that have been just popping up all over the entire world.
Hmm.
So, um, I mean, it's a very unique title, especially one that is this graphically impressive, this gameplay heavy title that was developed by a single man. It is one of the most impressive one man projects I've ever seen. So the fact that to the point that I've gotten into arguments in the past few years having to convince people that this was made by one person because they simply could not believe it was made by one person. And I was like, no, it's made by one dude in China. Like, that's it. That's his team.
Hmm. Well, I know this one, if it's similar enough to the first game coming out, achievement hunters will absolutely love it because it's very easy to get the 1000 gamer score in.
This one
Um,
will be longer than that though, because like I said, that was just that's technically just chapter one.
mhm.
So it should be a little bit longer at least. It might not be the hour, 2 hour completion, but it will still probably be fairly easy.
Yeah. Um, Now the next game, something I had no idea was even coming out, but this is the game I was referring to at the beginning. I just want to give it a big hug. It looks absolutely amazing. Dear
Yes.
Journey. Oh, I love it.
Journey.
Please, and load this
Uh,
information onto me. What do I need to know?
Deer Journey. Okay, so this is the premise. I'm going to sell you on it. Okay,
Okay.
you are a deer.
Sold.
That's it. There's a little more depth to it. Like it has a story premise. You are an albino deer who is abandoned by its family for being different. You find yourself at the beginning of this deep, mysterious forest, and you venture inside of it to try and discover where you belong. So there is a little bit of a heartfelt journey there, but
Hmm.
essentially, you are a deer. You are going to do deer things. It describes itself as a third-person walking simulator, but you're a deer.
Hmm.
So if you like Sony exclusives, I mean,
Well, after hearing the little bit of the story, I just want to give that deer even a bigger hug now. But oh, it
you
looks
just abandoned him because he's albino. That's rude. First of all,
oh, but that looks absolutely amazing. I mean, everyone, I think, should check that out. I can't imagine that it'll be too strenuous. If you're looking for something relaxing, I'm sure this will
Yeah,
scratch that itch for sure.
yeah, wholesome, short, relaxing, deer. All you need.
Now, last week we had a very sort of anime style name game.
I have
This week,
to include one.
yes, you
It's
do have to include one, but I
required.
think you have done one better this week, Mike.
That's the
Because
goal. That's the
this
goal.
game has everything from visual novel, mechs, anime. Oh my god, this is an absolute wet dream for anyone who loves anime stuff.
I hadn't even heard of the series before I found this game making this list, but we are, of course, talking about the obviously everybody already knows this. Obviously, it's Muv-Luv alternative Total Eclipse. Yeah, this title has a hyphen. It has a hyphen. I mean, that's it. That's anime dream hyphen colon. It's got all kinds of titles. It's got a subtitle and it's got a subtitle to the subtitle. Perfect. But yeah, apparently the series actually is a multimedia series. It has an anime series, anime movies, manga. I hadn't ever heard of it before, but yeah, it's a human versus alien invasion story where humanity is desperate to turn the tide of the ever-waging war. We've seen billions of those, but this one has mechs and Japan. Like, I like it. But seriously, the plot of the story is that an American mech pilot teams up with a Japanese agent, and they help save the world from the aliens.
Well, I mean, it doesn't get as simple as that, and I mean, I feel like that will be brain food for anyone who survives and thrives off this sort of content.
It's great. But yeah, it's a visual novel. So there's not any thrilling gameplay loop. It does have some pretty great art in it. The mechs especially look really great. But yeah, this is your anime mech weeb dream game of the week.
Thank you. Well, I don't know how you're going to top that next week, Mike, unless there's just something completely insane waiting for me that I haven't heard of yet. But I suppose that... No. Mike, to finish up for the week, we always like to do with you 3 games I suppose you're most excited for coming this week.
My most excited games coming this week would be Stray, because Cat. Fallen Angel. I feel like I've gone into that a lot, but I'm very excited to kill Heaven. No trauma there. And then Bright Memory Infinite. I'm a big hack and slash fan. I was a big fan of the teaser that they released the past few years. I cannot wait to just destroy everything with cool guns and cool swords and not think except for what button press next.
Well, I mean, I hope to talk to you sometime next week, and I hope that there's still a shred of humanity or sanity left in you, Mike.
I'm so like X, Y, A, B, R, D, left stick, right stick, A, X. What?
Don't worry, I'll come on next week and I'll have all facts about albino deers. You won't even know it. I will have that on my LinkedIn resume, the albino deer expert. And I usually don't give my list for games, but it had to be 3 games I have to pick. I would pick Deer Journey, and possibly maybe Deer Journey, I think.
I agree. It's a good list. That's a good list.
Yes, but I mean, that concludes us for this week. Let us know if there's any games that we missed out that maybe you are looking forward to this week. And if there's any of the games that we mentioned that you're particularly interested in, please feel free to let us know in the comments down below. You can, of course, follow Mike over on his wonderful social media platforms and Indie Games Tracker over on Twitter. That'll be all linked down below at the top as well. And of course, follow us over on social media as well at Gaming Sandbox. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you all again next week. Bye.